This is RadioFire.com. I go by the name of Diamond K. Thank you for joining me. Now, we have been talking about this for quite some time. The officers who killed Freddie Gray, or being charged with the death of Freddie Gray. Another officer, Edward Nero, found not guilty today by a judge here in Baltimore after a bench trial. Now, this is when there's no jury and the judge makes the decision on the case. He was found not guilty by this judge. Not because he was innocent, because in my opinion, he's not innocent at all. Edward Nero is one of the 3 officers that was on the bike patrol that apprehended Freddie Gray. Now, while he did not belt Freddie Gray into the car or place the handcuffs on him, he was one of the officers on the bike patrol during the initial encounter. Now, the 3 officers caused harm to Freddie Gray. It's clear in the video footage, and you can see that he can't stand without being in a great amount of pain. Bystanders are saying things about the way that the officers are handling him at the time. This is on video, cell phone video footage. Now, you can see them dragging him. You can clearly see in the video that he can't stand. Now, if one of these 3 officers is not responsible for his death and found innocent, then whose fault is it? Was it suicide? Did he do this to himself? No, not hardly. But still, the officer, Edward Nero, has been found innocent of all charges. Now, today we saw another injustice take place. Officer Nero has set the stage and the way out for the other officers. I believe that the other officers are going to take a bench trial, meaning they're not going to have a jury, meaning that a judge is a friend of a police officer. That's what he is. And another judge, or potentially the same judge, is going to render the same verdict for all of these officers. Now, if it was just one officer, or maybe just 2 officers, I would say, okay, they're going to get away with this. But we have 6 officers who are going to be tried. 6. Now, one is handled in a mistrial, which means he's going to be tried again. And at the end of the day, they're going to continue to find these officers innocent. I was not surprised at the verdict that came down today. And the other thing that's very ironic about this is that the city of Baltimore, late last year, reached an agreement for a payout for the family of Freddie Gray. Now, the family got over $6 million. And they're going to get part of it and then another part of it in another year. All right, so now it's being said, and let me get this quote here, that the city is accepting a civil liability in the death of Freddie Gray and the arrest, but they do not acknowledge any wrongdoing by the police department. So if the city is accepting civil liability, meaning they are holding the city liable, how is it that these city workers, these city employees, the police, don't have any wrongdoing if they work for the city? That's very strange, right? So they pay them out this money because they said that they don't want to go through a courtroom trial against the city. But yet we have employees of the city going through a trial. And then all these officers are going to be found innocent. Charges are going to be dropped. But they paid out money in a civil case. Very strange. Now, there's video footage that clearly shows before Freddie Gray was put in the car, he was injured. before he was belted in, before the drivers even started driving. When they put him in the car, he was injured. It's clear to see that. And yet, and still, the officers, the three officers, one of the three officers has been found not guilty because they said he didn't belt him in the car, he didn't put the handcuffs on him, but you were one of the officers who chased Freddie Gray down. Very strange, right? It's very strange that we have all of these cameras, all of these street light cameras, cell phone footage, and they can't come to any kind of sensible conclusion about what happened to Freddie Gray. Yet the citizens that allegedly destroyed property, allegedly set fires and stole chips and other little things out of the stores, you have video footage of them, clear cut, you can see, boom, no problem. These people have already been arrested, convicted, and sentenced already. And you use that video footage, but all of these video footages of what these officers did, you can't seem to come to some type of reasonable conclusion in that case. If you used every video footage piece that you had and came with the same conclusion each time, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But because when the police are involved and you have video footage, it's kind of flaky, right? Kind of strange every single time. Here's my thing. We don't need to get any type of police body cameras. Let me tell you why. Because that's going to cause more confusion. We're going to have police body cameras that they're going to have footage that they're going to say that it's something other than what it is, even though we can clearly see what's going on in the video footage, right? Which is going to cause an uproar. Police officers are going to have on body cameras, but they're going to get off on the crimes because the footage is going to be messed up or damaged or something like that. And it's going to end up causing more confusion because you're going to be insulting people's intelligence. So why waste all the money on the body cameras when we're not even going to use the body cameras? We're not going to properly use them. They're going to say, oh, it wasn't turned on. Oh, it's doing something different than what it was. It's just going to be a waste, and it's just going to cause citizens to become more upset than they already are. This is just a sad thing. And the fact that the next officer, he's going to go for a bench trial, I'm pretty sure, and he's going to be found innocent of all the charges. It's not going to matter whether it is the officers who handcuffed him. They're going to come up with some other foolishness. And the other crazy thing about this whole thing, the person who's going to have all the egg on their face when this is done is going to be Marilyn Mosby. They're going to make it seem like she rushed and overcharged these officers. She's a young black, the youngest state's attorney in the nation, and 35 years old, 36 years old. And at the end of the day, all these officers are going to get off. She's going to look crazy. They're going to drag her, down the river. It's just not literally, but she's going to be embarrassed by this. And it's just a very, very disappointing thing. There were rumors about what the reaction was going to be from people, and there hasn't been a reaction. And thankfully, the weather, I think, played a factor into that as well. If people were thinking about doing something, bad weather just kind of, just threw that to the wayside. But Officer Edward Nero released a statement saying that he and his family were elated with the ruling. Elated, isn't that an interesting choice of words? Gray's family attorney, Billy Murphy, too, applauded the decision, saying you can't convict people unless you know the evidence, and that Judge Barry Williams had followed the law as he saw it. Of course, after this bench trial, he was found not guilty of all charges. It took 20 minutes to read the decision to a packed courtroom today, near capacity. Wearing a dark three-piece suit and tie, Nero nodded as Williams said there was no evidence to support each individual charge, and tilted his head back in relief after the judge read the verdict. He then put his head down and sobbed, cried. And so, as I said, he's one of the 6 officers going to be charged. And he was accused of second-degree intentional assault, 2 counts of misconduct in office, and reckless endangerment. Usually what happens is they pile these charges on, some fall off, and some of the lesser charges stick. In this instance, nothing stuck. The way this is panning out, I'm predicting the only person who's going to be charged with something is the driver, who to me had the least to do with anything. The arresting officers are the ones that had they're the ones that did it. He was hurt before he was put in the car. Now, if you want to charge everybody, that's fine, but you have to charge the people who put him in the car in the first place. I mean, that's just a no-brainer right here. But, let me know your thoughts. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Diamond K Show. Also Snapchat. In the comment section, if you see something that I don't see, please let me know. But this sounds like it's a setup. And the $6 million payout was just to pacify the family and to get people less interested in the outcome. But people are very interested in this outcome. And here's the thing. Freddie Gray is not the first. Freddie Gray is not the last. No, he wasn't the model citizen, but that's not the point. The point is the way the police interact and treat the citizens, and more importantly, the way the government handles that treatment.